my name is Lynn and I'm the HR lead for Microsoft Singapore. I've worked in the tech industry for over 15 years now, and it has taken me across the world in many places such as Australia, Nigeria, and now here in Singapore. The reason I joined the tech industry is that I fundamentally believe in the power of technology as a force for good in our world. So I joined to be part of the solution and create the solutions where technology is used to level the playing field, and that we use and create it through the lens of people and planet first. I started as a technical specialist in Australia, looking after customers in the financial industry and looking at their servers and networks. And then I moved into consulting, recruitment, and now here in HR, where I work on our people and culture strategy for Microsoft. My personal experience as a former Vietnamese refugee when I was a child living in a UN refugee camp has really also inspired my work to ensure that there is equality and opportunity for those in disadvantaged and underrepresented groups in our communities. As such, I also serve on the board of directors for Australia for UNHCR, which is the Australia arm of the UN Refugee Agency. And this role has taken me to places such as the Chakatu refugee settlement in Uganda, where we opened up a vocational training centre for thousands of refugee youth to help them for a better future. Outside of work, I'm also a mother of two girls, ages 9 and 7, and I am an avid runner and training for a marathon. The three key learnings that I've had in my career, I would say the first one is actually around building the networks to support you in your personal and professional goals. So really leveraging the networks around you, having the confidence to ask for the help you need when you need it, and then ultimately to ensure that you also can pay it forward and become part of others' networks who you can help and sponsor for them to meet their professional and personal goals. The second learning I had was really around the courage to be my authentic self. And I say that as someone who is a woman of color, someone who came from a refugee background and lower socioeconomic background into the tech world, that sometimes it may be hard to show up as your authentic self, and really to find that courage and vulnerability to show up as yourself and do your best work, because I truly believe that when you're your authentic self, you can also create the spaces for others to be their authentic self as well. And so to really own your story and to be you. And then the third thing I would say is really around empathy. So being able to lead with empathy and being able to connect to others and to listen and to stay curious. It's a really important skill set in any leadership position. So those are my top three key learnings. Thank you. In my role in HR, we've been tracking the industry trends that we're seeing around the future of work. So today, I will share 4 of the trends that we're seeing globally for those of us in the HR industry. So the first one that we're talking about today is around the hybrid workplace. What we've seen during the global pandemic is actually, it really challenged organizations to think what it is possible when we think about the workplace and where employees do their work. We've seen that digital transformation and digital technologies have really empowered virtual collaboration, and we've seen the rise of remote teams irrespective of location. So in the future of work, what we'll see is that there will be learnings from the pandemic where transformation has enabled more flexibility. And we also know that employees want that flexibility as well. So the future will be hybrid, with some work taking place in what we would say as a traditional office now. And then there's other work where employees will choose to do that from their homes or a cafe or wherever. So it'll be work from anywhere some of the time, and the workplace will exist, but not in the form that it used to pre-COVID. The second trend we're seeing is around the skills economy. So we used to talk about talent shortages, but today the narrative is around skills, what skills are needed for the future and how to match it within the workforces that we have. We'll need to map these global skills that are needed for new jobs of the future, and as a result, we will need to upskill and reskill the workforce. At Microsoft, we talk about having a learn-it-all mindset. So what that means is that we want to be able to do rapid and large-scale efforts to skill and reskill people already in the job market or those who are just entering it. This urgency around skills development and building equity and resiliency into our labour markets has actually been with us for a long time. But in the lens of the pandemic, it's really given us the impetus to go out and do what needs to be done when it comes to skilling and seize that opportunity. The third thing that we'll see is that around diversity and inclusion, but we're going to pivot the conversation more to around inclusion. So whilst many organizations think about diversity, because at the end of the day, there's so much data to show that diverse teams are more innovative, create better financial results for organizations, but actually diversity without an inclusion is a leaky bucket, which means that without inclusion in an organization, employers will not stay. And so one of the things that organizations will look more at is the I in inclusion. And here at Microsoft, we've actually been on a journey to think about inclusion around allyship. So the role of every single person in the organization to learn about how they can make intentional decisions around being an ally and using their platforms and their privilege and their power to create a more inclusive workplace. And then the fourth thing we will see in the future of work is around well-being. So pre-COVID, we already knew that mental health was costing $1 trillion a year in lost productivity. That's a stat from the World Economic Forum. And when that doesn't even take into the human toll, when we think about the future of work, we will realize that workplaces will become a place where employees will need to learn how to be more mentally resilient. And so the future of work, we will focus a lot on employee health, well-being, and organizational health and well-being. For those earlier in their careers, these are the 3 key skills that I would recommend that you gain in general. So the first thing is what I would call a learner mindset. What we know about technology is that it will always change. We've seen that the pace of innovation steadily increases every year and accelerates. So the ability to develop the skills to adapt, to stay curious, and to continuously be a learner for life will serve you well in whatever field that you move into in the tech industry. The second one is actually around leading with empathy. So whatever role you go in, the ability for you to empathize with your customers, your colleagues, and your communities will help them as part of that journey. And then the third thing is, I would say a deeper one is, I would say learn your why. So know your purpose. And I think when you know your purpose throughout your career, you will move with more clarity on the things that you want to achieve, but also help you through the really difficult times to build that resilience to get through those tough times as well and go through that journey.